get started. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Great. And hopefully you can all see the screen. Let me just adjust a couple of things. And this is the one I wanted to look at first. You're still in 3 spades. It's got 1 spade, and you open on this one spade, and then it still end up in 3 spades. And let's have a look at this one where after you end up in 3 spades here, and the opponents lead the ace of hearts. And it's nearly always a good plan in a suit contract. You can count your winners if you like, but I like to always make sure I count my potential losers. And the way I like to think about this is if I draw all the opponent's trumps as soon as I get a chance to, how many likely losers do I have? So see if you can answer it on this hand here. You're playing in 3 spades. And if you draw the opponent's trumps first, how many likely losers will you have on this hand? Have a little think about it. And most of you said 4, with 44% saying 5 and 1 person saying 6. So let's switch back and have a look. Well, if we look at our losers here, we've got 1 spade loser. We're missing the ace. And we've got a club loser. And the other losers are in hearts. Now, in my own hand, I've got 3 possible heart losers. And if I start by drawing the opponent's trumps, I may well lose all of those, because if you think about it, I've got 9 cards in the trump suit. That means the opponents have got 4. So if they were divided 3-1, say, as a likely division, it would take 3 rounds to draw the opponent's trumps, and we would be left with 3 losers. Those of you who thought you might only have 1 fewer loser are probably thinking you can ruff that heart in dummy. And indeed, that's what I plan to do on this hand. I can hold my heart losers to just 2 if I can ruff 1 in dummy. So let's see what happens. Let's suppose they win the first trick with the ace of hearts. And on this hand, if I bring up the 4 hands here, and you look at this now from the point of view of West, West has just led the ace of hearts and won the trick there. And can you see that West should probably not carry on in hearts? In fact, West can see that there's just 1 heart left in dummy, and it's quite possible that declarer has more hearts in their hand that they are might be able to ruff in dummy. So in fact, if you leave the ace of hearts on this hand, once you see dummy, you should really switch to a trump. And if I click on the GIB button, you can see that it's only a trump now that will defeat the contract. Now, you might think about which trump to lead. On this hand, it doesn't really matter, but what you're going to do is either lead the ace of trump and another trump, and then later, if you gain the lead with the king of hearts, draw that last trump, because you've got 3 trumps. It works out equally well here to start by leading a low trump here, and then when you gain the lead again with the king of hearts, then you will draw the last 2 trumps from dummy. But either way, your plan is to stop those ruffs by switching to a trump. Okay, and declarer can win that second one, but declarer has that heart loser they can't do anything about. So if they lead another heart, you will win that one and draw the last trump. And defended that way, declarer can't avoid that heart loser and will be held to just 8 tricks there. So whatever happens at the end, they should just make 8 tricks there. So, you know, given a chance, you would have ruffed, but the layout of the hearts and the trumps was such that West can thwart that by switching to a trump. So the clue that switching to a trump is a good idea here is, first of all, you see the shortness in dummy, just 2 hearts. And second of all, there aren't that many trump in dummy. There are just 3 trump in dummy. So it's feasible that you might be able to prevent some or all of the possible heart ruffs by switching to a trump there. Okay, let's try another one, a similar one, where again you end up in a contract of 3 spades. And let's have a little think about this one. The opponents here lead a heart, and you need to think about your possible losers. Just like on the other hand, we'll look at how many possible losers we have here. So if we look at the trump suit, we can see we're missing the ace, although apart from the ace, we've got lots of high trump in both hands. But we're going to lose presumably 2 hearts, and we've also got a club loser, like before. And what we're hoping to do on this hand is to avoid a diamond loser by ruffing in dummy. So that's our plan, very similar to the last one. We're planning to ruff a diamond in dummy. So let's see how it goes. Let's suppose they lead a heart, east overtakes with the king, plays the ace, and then leads another heart. And you need to be careful at this point, because there's every chance if you ruff low that West will overruff. And I think that's what happened to a number of people here. But you've got high trump apart, you've got lots of high trump in the south hand. You can afford to ruff fairly high, can only be overruffed with the ace there, and West discards, so you're in now. And now you need to decide what to do next. And there's always a decision to be made, especially if you're thinking of ruffing, as to whether you should draw some or all of the opponent's trumps. Now, we want to ruff a diamond here. That's the crux of this hand. And so we need to make sure we have a trump in dummy in order to do that. Question is, should we try and draw trumps first? So let's think about it. Let's think about it. We've got, we started with 9 trump here. If the opponent's trumps divided evenly, 2-2, we could draw trump and we'd still have a trump left in dummy to ruff the diamond. But what if they divide 3-1? Well, what we want to do is achieve a ruff, and we don't want to give the opportunity to the opponents for them to draw trumps and prevent the ruff. So on this hand, let's just bring up the 4 hands and see what happens. You might just play the diamonds now by playing the king, ace, and ruffing. Or you could try drawing some trump. So let's play it both ways. If I just start off by playing the diamonds, playing the king, and then crossing over to the ace, and as long as that doesn't get ruffed, I'll be able to play my last diamond. And of course, I'm going to ruff this one high. I've got high trump, and I'll be able to achieve that ruff. Okay. Once I've done that, then I just want to draw trump. And now whatever happens, I'll get in, draw the last trump, and I will just lose 1 club, I think, at the end. So played that way, I will make 9 tricks. It is possible to draw some trump on this round. Let's go back to the point we were at here. And we've just ruffed the 10 of hearts. And you could draw 1 round of trump here. So if I click on here and for example, lead a trump, okay, then I can do that. It sort of makes it a little safer to play the diamonds. But I shouldn't draw another round of trump, because if I click on the GIB button, it's telling me that if I play another trump now, I can be defeated. What could happen if I play another trump is that West could win that one, and then they'd be in a position to draw my last trump from dummy, and I wouldn't be able to do any ruffing. So sometimes there's a decision to be made about whether to ruff, whether to draw trump, and you sort of need to think about likely divisions and and what could happen. Let's try this one. This was actually a hand we're going to look at. It was played online in a few different ways. Most people ended up in a 4-heart contract on this one. And let's suppose you've opened a heart. It's right to bid the high ranking of 2 5-card suits, 1 spade. They come in with diamonds, you bid clubs, and your partner supports your hearts, and you end up in 4 hearts. And let's suppose your opponents lead a diamond, and we're going to ruff this first one, but I'd like you to come up with a plan as to what you're going to play after you've ruffed the first diamond. So have a little think about this, count your losers, and see if you can come up with a plan of how you're going to play this. And specifically, we're going to ruff that first diamond in our hand. And the question is, what are you going to play after that? What's your plan at trick 2? Okay. And the question, let me just bring up the question. The question is going to be, how are you going to play this hand? Are you going to, I'm going to give you options of, are you going to cross to dummy and then lead a trump? Or are you going to cross to dummy and then maybe lead a diamond so you can ruff again? Or are you just going to start by cashing the ace of hearts, or maybe leading a low heart? Or do you have another plan? So here comes the second poll. And the question is, having won that first trick with the ace of diamonds, what is your plan? Any more votes, anyone? Let's have a look at what you've chosen. And most of you, 48% or just under half, have gone for the first option, cross to the ace of club and lead a trump. 20% said cross to the ace of club and lead a diamonds. Some said cash a heart, some said lead a low heart. One person said something else. You can tell us what that is if you like. So before we go into the answer, let's try and make a plan on this hand, and let's focus on our potential losers. So in spades, we're missing the ace of spades, but apart from that, it looks like we're going to make all those spades. In hearts, we've got all the top hearts, and if we don't run out of trump, our only heart loser is possibly the king of hearts. And we don't have any club losers. So barring some horrible club distribution, we'll make all those clubs. So the answer to the question, how many possible losers do we have here? We have the ace of spades and maybe a heart. And we're going to avoid that, try and avoid that heart loser by finessing. Yeah, so my choice here is to cross to dummy and then lead a heart from dummy, hoping that East has the king and the king gets trapped. So that's what I would do on this hand. Now, this time it was played, this declarer didn't do that. And what they did was they crossed to dummy with the ace of clubs and then led a diamond. And by leading a diamond, they obviously mesmerized by that void they've got in the south hand, but they're not really achieving anything. They're not avoiding any of the losers that I talked about. I wasn't expecting to make any diamond losers because I can ruff them. But here they lead a diamond and they ruff in the hand that had the long trump in it, but they actually haven't gained any tricks. They then carried on in clubs. They crossed to the jack, that held, and they played another diamond, and they were able to ruff that one. And that was successful too. Successful, except it hasn't achieved anything. And in fact, all it's done is it shortened your trump holding. And, you know, players who play this way, you know, I wish I could stop them from doing it, because it on a hand like this, it really leads to difficulties. So I'll just show you what happened after that. They then played the queen of spades. East took the ace, and East played another club. Trumps have not been touched yet, so their partner got a ruff there. They then played a diamond back, which declarer was able to ruff. But if you look at the trump holding now, you can see that declarer is running low on trump. They've only got 2 in each hand now, whereas East has got 3. So you've lost trump control here. They now played the 9 and won that one with the jack. Played the jack of spades, overtook it with the king, and played a spade back. And actually at this point, East could have defeated the contract. If I click on the GIB link, you'll see that if East discards a diamond here, then declarer will win the ace, but East will win the last 2 tricks. So it could actually have been defeated. This East didn't find the right card. They ruffed with a 6, so declarer won with the ace. They played the queen, and East was able to ruff, but North still has got the queen of trump. But this player made just 10 tricks, but it really should have made 12. And this was another declarer who played it. I'll just bring up the 4 hands. Again, they led the ace of diamonds, but this declarer went to dummy. I would go over with the club, I think, rather than the spade, but that's what they did. They managed to cross the dummy with a 10 of spades, and they led a heart. And yeah, you want to lead hearts from dummy. As it turns out, East has got the king, so it gets trapped, and you can avoid the king making a trick. Now the king is gone. Declarer just drew that last trump, and is now in a position to cash their clubs. They can take their clubs. Once the clubs have gone, they can play their spades. East gets in, but you've still got a trump left to take the last trick. So played that way, it does indeed make 12 tricks, but a number of declarers made fewer tricks, and one of the reasons was roughing the diamond. So do watch out for that if you're someone who sort of has an urge to rough diamonds in that situation. Let's try another one here, and this was the one actually I sent out by email at the weekend. And here you open a heart, your partner bids 2 hearts, and you jump to 4 hearts. And the opponents lead the king of spades, and down comes dummy, and you need to make a plan here. So I suggest you start by counting your possible losers here. And let's suppose you win that first trick with the ace of spades. The question for you as declarer is, which suit are you going to play at trick 2? You've just won the ace of spades. Which suit do you think you should play at trick 2? Okay, let's have a look at the results. And we've got a very wide variation here. The most popular choice was a club, followed by a heart and a spade, and then a diamond. So let's switch back and see what we think. Well, as is usual in a suit contract, the crux of this is working out what your potential losers are. So if we go through the suits one at a time, in the trump suit, we're not expecting to lose anything there. We've got quite good trumps. We have a diamond loser, and we have no club losers. So we've got a diamond loser, and the other losers we have are in spades. Now, in the south hand, we have 3 potential spade losers. And based on the overcall, it's likely West has got a long spade suit, and we may well lose 3 tricks there. So if we just draw trumps, we're likely to lose 3 spades and 1 diamond. But what we're going to do here is not draw trumps, and we're going to try and keep a trump in the north hand so that we can ruff a spade. The majority of you here have decided they wanted to play a club here, but there really is no merit in that. You're not really achieving anything. Maybe you're playing club so you can get to the south hand, or maybe you're thinking of roughing a club in the south hand, but none of those things actually helps you in any way. you really want to focus on the spade suit and avoiding these 3 spade losers by playing a spade back at trick 2. Yes, you should play a spade back. The opponents, of course, are going to win that. You expect that. And if we bring up the 4 hands, I hope you can see that West, having won a trick with the 10 of spades, is going to realize what you're up to and hopefully switch to a trump. But you're ahead of the game now because you can win that one, play another spade, and they can play another trump, but you've still got a trump in dummy to ruff that last spade. So now you're going to play your last spade, roughing that high so it can't be over-ruffed. There's still 1 trump out. The opponents drew 2 rounds, but you just want to get back to your hand with a club and draw that last trump. And then you'll just cash your remaining winners there, and you should manage 10 tricks there. So this is a sort of strange one, and it sort of goes against the grain to play the spades, which is such a weak suit. But really, it's the only good chance to defeat the to make the contract. You can see actually, if I click on the GIB button, that the only defense that defeats a contract is actually a lead of a trump. So if they lead a trump, it cuts down on your trump before you have the ability to ruff any spades. But on any other lead, you can make this contract by playing on the spades. Do interrupt me if you have any questions on that. And let's just look at one last hand. This was another one that a lot of declarers didn't make. And let's make a plan on this hand. We're in 3 spades again. They lead the Queen of Hearts. And again, I'd like to think about how many potential losers we have here. So if you draw all the opponent's trumps and things divide as you expect, how many potential losers do you have here? So let's launch that last poll. Okay, let's have a look at the results. So 4 was most popular response, followed by 5, 6, and 3. So let's switch back and see what we think. Well, let's go through the suits one at a time. We may or may not lose a spade. We have 9 trump. If we're lucky and they divide 2-2, we won't lose any, but 3-1 is more likely. So we count that as one possible loser there. We've got 2 heart losers, no club losers, and in diamonds, we actually have 2 possible losers in the south hand. We've got the ace-king, and these last 2 may lose a trick. So I think it's 5 possible losers. Now, you might be thinking, how can I avoid one of those? And one way I'm thinking about it is maybe roughing a diamond. And especially if the trumps divide evenly, I won't have any trouble doing that. But let's see what happens. Let's suppose they start with the queen and they play 2 rounds and they play a 3rd round. And of course, I want to ruff this one high so it doesn't get over-ruffed. And let's suppose we start off hoping for an even trump break with the king and the ace, and we discover a bad trump break. So West has got 1 high trump out, and it's a queen. So we're not going to draw it, of course. We're just going to go over to the diamonds now and try and ruff a diamond. Okay, but let's just see what happens. We play 2 rounds of diamond. Just see what happens when I play another diamond and West wins that one. What do you think West is going to play here? Well, West sort of realizes what's going on. They realize they've got a high trump out, and they can spoil your plans to ruff diamonds by drawing that last trump. And now whatever happens, you're going to lose 1 more trick, diamond there. You'll win the rest with the club and your last 2 trumps, but you'll be held to 8 tricks. Was there anything you could have done about it? Well, a slightly different line of play is, as before, to ruff the 3rd heart. And before you draw trumps here, and before you try to ruff diamonds, it's not a bad idea because you're going to lose a diamond anyway to lose it now. In other words, deliberately give up a diamond here. You're always going to lose that one. And now it works out much better. So now if they switch back to a diamond, you will now win that one. You'll try to draw trumps in 2 rounds. That fails, so there's a high trump out. But now you're in a good shape and you can't be prevented from roughing that last diamond. So if you play another diamond here, you don't care if it gets roughed, by the way, because it's being roughed with a high trump. So you win that one, play your last diamond, and you can't be prevented from roughing. So there are slightly different ways of playing this, but you guarantee that ruff if you keep control of the diamond suit, if you like, and you'll be able to make 9 tricks that way. Even if the trumps break as they do here, they break 3-1. Anyone have any comments or questions on that one? That's a slightly tricky one, but it is often the case that when you've got to lose a trick anyway, it can often be a good idea to lose it early on. Anyway, we'll end the talk there. Does anyone have any questions?